Welcome back to Saturday's Kids. If you're new to it, you haven't seen this before, it's basically about the subcultures. There are many strings to this bow, one of them being called No More Heroes Anymore. Now, this is all about your chance of winning money. I want people to come on board, tell their stories of their specific subculture back in the day, or even present day, still going on. Punks, skins, mods, teddy boys, whatever. If you've got something you want to share, I'll come and video you. Now, today is all about the punks. And Punk's Not Dead, and Steve from Liverpool will tell us all about it. Now, let's crack on. Good morning, sir. What's your name?
Yeah, my name's Ocky, and I've been in punk bands for quite a long time.
How long have you been a punk?
Well, probably since it sort of first reared its ugly head, probably 45 years, maybe.
45 years?
Yeah.
I must stop here. Happy birthday.
Cheers,
Many happy returns of the day.
Yeah, I'm not telling you how old I am, but there you go.
I think we can work that out, actually.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to start with a bit of a controversial question. Where did punk all start? UK or America?
Well, I mean, that's a big debate, really. I mean, Americans are going to say it started there. English are going to say it started over here, but probably a bit of both. I think music at that time was getting into sort of prog rock, and bands were just so self-indulgent, and that feeling of teen, like, rock and roll rebellion had all gone out of it. So you'd have bands like the Ramones who kind of changed.
And Iggy Pop and the Stooges?
Yeah.
They must have been at the forefront, I should imagine.
Well, yeah, I should imagine so. But I mean, before that, you'd go back to you could probably go back to the 60s and 50s, and some of those bands were punky, as in a punk attitude. All the old rock and rollers were like that.
So over here in the UK at that time, you got Vivienne Westwood, and Malcolm McLaren started a sex shop.
Yeah.
And I believe, from what I've read, that they was after a band to promote the sale of their goods in the shop.
Well, that's what's been said by Malcolm McLaren. I think he did. He wanted to obviously I think he'd managed the New York Dolls, and he wanted to get his English version there. So that's
pretty much worked, really, didn't it?
Well, it did, yeah. But I mean, that's a big debate. The Sex Pistols, the actual band, always said it was them, really, not Malcolm McLaren. He was just.
Okay. He had the idea and pushed it, but then they became.
But they were themselves, you know.
So yourself, where did it all start for you? How old were you? Where were you?
Well, I was living in Birkenhead, so I was probably about 15, and my brother was a bit older than me, so he was getting into all the punk stuff.
And what year would that be?
Oh, that'd be about 70, probably 77. Which, I mean, the punk had already sort of started by then, but that's when I sort of got aware of it, and I'd hear my brother's records, and I think I just liked it. There was something about it I liked.
And what would it have been like being a punk in Birkenhead? Obviously, it was all going on in London, and that's where all the glitz and glamour.
I think in them days, no one was dressing particularly punky, and it was only sort of late 77 where people. I mean, I remember like taking me trousers in. Flared trousers and walking downtown with just a pair of straight leg trousers on and getting stared at, and that's
with your Oxford baggies and your soy pop.
or you just turn them in, and that just stuff like that, and having short hair, short spiky hair, that people are just, the reaction you get, I mean, it wasn't even anything outrageous. Nowadays you look at it, everyone dresses like that, but that's how it was.
And I suppose the
early days for me.
The punk scene, as the Sex Pistols pushed it to be more outrageous, and the safety pins came in. It was all decor, obviously.
And I think some people got into it more than other people. Some people would go completely mad, and others didn't, because it's not, it wasn't necessarily all about the image.
No, the music played a big part of it. And at that time, there was a lot of up and coming bands in the punk scene.
Yeah, well, I think
Damned.
And it was a lot of it. I mean, some of those early punk bands made out they couldn't play their instruments, but they could. They were pretty good. But there was a lot of other bands who were just starting, and there's people like myself who couldn't play, never even thought about playing. That's how I sort of got into it and got, started playing in bands. Just
So when you actually got more into it, was you dressing like the mainstream punks, as in the mohair? Did you actually look outrageous?
Well, I wasn't particularly outrageous, but I mean, to me, it was more, living in Birkenhead, you couldn't just go and buy your bondage pants, you know, like you probably could in London. So to me, it was about going to charity, jumble sales and stuff, and just buying anything that looked ridiculous. You'd buy, you know.
And a lot of punks actually made changes to their own clothes, didn't they? As in,
Yeah, well, I used to, you know, you just some old
rip your jeans up.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. I mean, the Army and Navy stores were great for getting punk clothes.
Did you have many drawbacks as a punk? Like, if you was obviously more the outrageous, obviously the harder it was to be to get an interview for a job, let alone a job. I mean,
there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of, like, you know, you'd have to watch your back sometimes, you know, because people couldn't handle it. I mean, nowadays it's more accepted, the punk look, you know, because it's almost mainstream now. But in those days, yeah, it could be pretty scary, getting a lot of hassle.
And was you ever tempted to change the scene? You said you was like 40 odd years as a punk, so in that time a lot of other cults came along, mods, skinheads.
Not really. I was very much, you know, I like the skinhead scene. I like the scooter, the modern scooter scene. I had a lot of mates, so I was sort of, and the bikers, you know, but I never really got into other stuff. I think it was maybe the music with me. I just liked the music, and I didn't particularly like some other music from other genres.
And as the time moved on with punk, I mean, it's I don't get my head around it, but punk changed, and there's things called like death punk, and
there was all sorts of different. It just split out, you know, into.
Was there much? What's the difference between a punk and death rocker?
Well, it's just I don't know. It's probably the music media giving it little names. You know, because the music did change, because mainly it was sort of like speeded up rock and roll, first early punk bands, and then it sort of bands got faster, playing faster, so that you get a bit of death metal type, which is still, and there was so many different. I think punk to me, it started musically. You could. Oh, I've got a mad fly here.
I think it's fluff.
Oh, it's fluff. Yeah, I mean, musically, it just opened people's eyes, because you could play anything, and people didn't care, you know, if you just made up your own sort of style of music, and that was what it was like. And that's where it changed into different.
Well, there's a quote from probably a relatively new punk song saying something like, "Punk is what you want it to be."
Yeah, well, that's I don't know who said that, but that's.
I think it was a Resistance 77.
Oh right, yeah, I know them, yeah.
But one of I picked up on that, and I thought, well, yeah, because.
Well, it is. That's how I've always thought, and every person's got their own different view on it.
Yeah, and
it's a very personal thing.
But the actual, like, the core of it back in the 70s, it was fingers up to the establishment. That's really where it was coming from, and like it's people look at us and we don't give a monkeys, and we weren't going to play. I mean, there's not so much of that now.
No, well, it has mellowed out, you know, and I don't know if that's an age thing, but probably not. I don't know. It's just, I think punk changed so much in the mainstream of like, you know, media in the country, you know, people, because all these you know, people are writing plays now for TV. They're all like, you used to be into punk, so they've all got that punk sort of attitude, as in, do it yourself. Do it yourself. If you don't like it, and don't follow what everyone tells you to do.
Well, the punk beliefs of, you know, we're not complying, don't you think that's more relative now than ever?
Well, it is.
The way things gone in the world, I mean, the shit that we've been fed for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You'd need a punk revolution.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was all about, really. It was like, don't comply. Don't comply. But use your brain as well.
That's it.
To me, punk was never about being destructive in a way, like smashing things up. It was more using your brain a bit more.
Just in a different way.
Yeah. Clever way.
So when you'd sort of gone through your teens, so when did the bands? When did you start picking up an instrument and start thinking,
I was probably about 20 then, and I had some mates who were in bands, and I used to just go and watch them. thinking, wow, this is good. I've actually got people I know who were playing in a band, which
Yeah.
is unheard of, you know. And that's how I ended up joining one of the bands.
And you're still like, fucking 20 years on from there, I suppose, more than that. Are you still getting a buzz for it? You still?
Oh yeah, I mean, I still play, and I still love getting up and playing. It's I just enjoy it.
And do you write your own stuff?
Yeah, right. I mean, and stuff.
What's the name of your band?
Bite Back.
Bite Back.
But I was in a band called Instant Agony, who were quite well known at the time. So,
And have you got any, if you, CDs for sale or anything like that?
oh yeah, we've got loads of merchandise and stuff.
And you're still publishing now, or are you still?
Yeah, we're still
recording.
We're still recording, still playing. Yeah.
And how does that figure nowadays? Obviously, where is it? Is it backstreet
It's
pubs?
more. It's more. Probably more. I mean, there's a lot of punk festivals on. We get on some of those. There's a lot of little backstreet pubs, and that's how punk started. Anyway, in the little backstreet pubs, and they're the best gigs, to be honest. Playing little pubs where you got an enthusiastic crowd.
And then most of your crowd sort of our age.
Probably, yeah.
Sort
yeah,
of.
Yeah.
There's not many younger punks.
No,
coming
well,
through.
we might get an odd 18-year-old in.
I mean, I did the Blackpool Punk
Yeah.
Festival, and I talked to a 9-year-old lad there. He was
Yeah,
with his
well,
granddad.
that festival, you do get a lot of younger people, which is good. It's got it. The younger people have got to come through. So otherwise, it'll just.
It's the same as everything, isn't
Yeah.
it? The youth is the next generation.
Yeah,
Without
yeah.
that, it will stop.
So there is a sort of a young punk movement still. It's usually the offspring of the old punks.
Yeah. And some of the punk bands of the day, they're sort of touring again now, aren't they? I'm going to see Sham 69, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
So some punks of the day, they
No,
are still...
there's a lot of the old bands still going, and they're older than me.
Well, the
you know-
Stones, look at the Stones.
Yeah, well, you know, as long as you can stand up. I mean, I think fair enough. There's no reason why they shouldn't play, as long as they're doing it for the right reasons. And,
It's not just getting an extra bit of money in the
yeah,
pot. It's-
well, I mean, it's debatable how much money to get anyway, you know, but, you know, good on them for doing that, you know.
I've got a few fascinating facts, strokes, useless information bits here for you. You may know some of this, you may not. 1977, the Sex Pistols were banned from most of the UK clubs. So they changed their name so they could get bookings. Do you know what that was called?
The Spots.
Yeah, Spot, yeah.
Yeah.
Sex Pistols on tour.
Yeah. Well, they were supposed to play in Birkenhead, one of the gigs. They were supposed
Under
to play-
Spot?
Yeah, Under Spots, yeah. And there was a guy in a local record shop who he was going to put them on, and he was still selling tickets for it.
Did he know they was the Sex Pistols? Or?
Yeah. He booked them as the Sex Pistol, put the chain, and he was still selling tickets years later.
Some of them tickets would be worth a fortune.
Oh,
I should
they
imagine.
are. That's why. Yeah, you'd suddenly get more printed.
The first UK punk single wasn't by the Sex Pistols.
I'd say it was A New Rose by the Damned.
Excellent, yeah. Exactly. Bang on, The Damned.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Damned, going on to The Damned. The lead singer, Dave Vanian.
Yeah.
He was into, like, goths and that before there was goths.
Well,
he,
kind of, yeah, because he always had that sort of horror.
he dressed as Dracula, basically.
Yeah.
And do you know what his job was before he actually
I think,
came
was he an
from
Undertaker?
a grave digger?
Gravedigger, that's it, yeah.
Followed
brilliant.
him through life.
You can't write it, yeah.
And my last piece of fascinating facts, Wearing of Tartan by the Punks. And I thought, what was all that about? And when I had a look, did you know what it was all about?
Well, I'd just say it was Malcolm McLaren and Vivienne Westwood's fashion.
It was a finger up at the establishment against our kings and queens. They're Scottish.
Well, that probably I can understand. I never knew that, but I can understand that because that was probably Malcolm McLaren's ideas.
And Vivienne Westwood and that, obviously, they put a lot into the early days of punk, and they did push it.
Well, they put a lot on the image
Yeah.
factor, you know. That's
They sold
which is
the
still
sex-
going now. You still people wearing bondage pants and stuff. I never liked bondage pants because they were no good for running. You get chased.
Who would chase punks?
Oh, I don't know. Bloody skinheads and all sorts. Anyone.
I can remember when I was a mod, early 80s, and to get to, there was a market in Birmingham, and it used to be called Oasis Market.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
And to get there, you had to get through the town, and you had to bypass all the town rude boys.
Yeah.
If you was lucky enough to miss them, you had to get down into Oasis, and there was a cafe, and all the punks hung out, and you had to get past the punks to get into the mosh.
It's like the Warriors. Remember the film The Warriors?
Yeah. So it was quite an intriguing time to be a teenager.
Well, it was, because there was all different cults, you know, and it was like, get him, he's not one of us, you know.
Well, I'd be dressed up walking through the town, and I'd have my parka on, and I'd have my mohair suit, my hush puppies, my tie, my slim jim, and somebody, rude boy, would come up to us and say, "You a mod?" And you go, "No, no." Anyway, so what's your band? Where your band going? What's new for your band?
Well, we're just out. We gig a lot. We do a lot of gigs, and we enjoy it. We're only a 3-piece, but we just enjoy playing. Really.
Any local gigs coming up?
We've got a few. We've got a few in Birmingham. We always play around where we're from, and on Merseyside. We just keep playing. I mean, we've got no ambitions as in to make. Get a record contract, that ain't going to happen, so we just enjoy it, have a good time.
Well, thank you very much. It's lovely to speak to you. Hope you have a great day and enjoy the rest of your birthday.
Cheers, thanks a lot.
What a cracking video that was. Well done, Steve. Now, if you want to take part in this and you want to tell us about your stories, whether it's past or present, do get in touch. There's some numbers up somewhere down here. Send me a message and we'll take you from there. The winner at the end of the year, which you will be voting on, will win a minimum of £100. So please come forward, get in touch, and we'll take you from there. Ride safe, and I'll see you soon.